and welcome to this very special edition of Ashland Alive. I am your host, Gretchen Dworznik, and thanks for joining us. On today's show, we have two very special guests, the Ashland University women's basketball coach, Sue Ramsey, and Division II National Player of the Year, Kari Daugherty, fresh off of their national championship win in San Antonio. So thank you, ladies, both for joining us today. I know you've been busy, so we appreciate you giving us some time. Absolutely. Let's kind of just start off. How are you feeling after the big win? It's been a bit of a whirlwind, so how are you taking it all in?
Well, it has been a whirlwind. At times I kind of have to shake my head and say that really did happen. And it was an amazing journey with amazing young ladies and the support. I know we'll talk about that we had from the Ashland University community as well as the Ashland community. Has just been tremendous. So it's good. It's busy. We're getting a lot of requests for a lot of things, but that's a really nice problem to have.
Absolutely. Yeah. How about you, Kari? Obviously, you've got classes and stuff still, so how have you been managing that?
It's been stressful at times, but definitely worth it. I was talking to one of my teammates today, just saying how it's crazy that the world keeps going. I mean, we won a national championship. It's like, wow, we actually have to keep doing schoolwork, and there's quite a bit to make up, but it's worth it. I am less than 3 weeks away from graduation, so finishing strong.
Absolutely. Now, last year at this time, it was sort of a different story. You came back from San Antonio runners-up, not the national champions, and here we are 1 year later, coming back from San Antonio. Only this time, you're the champions. What's the difference there? How has that been?
It's been incredible. I know it's strange because I'm a senior, so no matter what, I would have been done preparing for Ashland anyway. So to have ended on a win is an incredible way to go out, because I remember the gut-wrenching feeling it was last year to come back and having lost, but how that served as such a great motivational tool for getting ready, going into the summer and coming back for preseason. So to be able to say that we're a national championship team after finishing my senior year I feel very blessed to be able to say that.
Absolutely. And I think as we look over the scope of the 2 years put together, everything that happened along the way was purposeful, and it led to the journey that we had over this 2-year stretch that Kari's been with us, and obviously the other team members as well, and to be able to put it together and to use everything as a motivator, as a reminder, and to have that ultimate goal in mind that we had this year. We knew what it was like last year to get there, and then we wanted to finish the business, so to speak, this year. And to have that in mind, but still you have to take each game one at a time, and you have to be prepared, and you have to stay focused on that, even though the long-term goal is to get where we needed to go, and as Kari said, very blessed to accomplish that.
Was there ever any doubt in your mind that you would go back? I remember I'd seen in some interviews where you said people were like, hey, we bought our tickets, and you're like, hold on. But,
exactly.
Deep down, did you really think you'd be back there again?
Well, I think if you look at the game of basketball, and maybe unique in its own right, that it only takes one day, one night, when a team can show up and just have an unbelievable performance. And it was even funny after we accomplished what we did, here comes Louisville women, and they beat Baylor, and Baylor, was supposed to go back, as Ashland was supposed to go back and had everybody back, had the Division I National Player of the Year, we had Division II National Player of the Year, but Louisville hit 16 threes that night, and it didn't happen. So it's a game that for over 40 minutes, some strange things can happen, and so a lot of things had to go along the way. We had some adversity along the way. We had injuries. We had a lot of things that came into play, but we stayed the course. And I think the biggest thing was, and we'll talk about regionals, but once we got to the regionals, at least I could take a deep breath and say, okay, all those people bought their tickets 364 days ago for San Antonio. Now they can go. At least they'll see us there for one game.
Exactly. How about you, Kari? When you guys came back and you had not won the championship, everyone's like, all right, we're going back again. Did you, have any doubt that you would be there, or were you,
I mean, there's always a sense of unknown coming into the season. We didn't know how our team chemistry would be, how we would all gel together. As Coach mentioned, we had injuries, up and downs throughout the season, but I think all of the players had a confidence in ourselves and in our team, and that we knew even if we weren't having our best game, if we played together, that we would be able to make it to at least to the Elite Eight. We wanted to win that national championship. I mean, we set that goal at the beginning of the season, and we don't set a goal lightly. I think all of the goals that we set at the beginning of the year, we ended up accomplishing. Yep. And that was one goal that we set at the very beginning that we were going to do, and I think everyone had confidence that we were going to be able to.
You mentioned team chemistry. I think it's interesting because a lot of times when you talk about a team like repeating a run like that, you've got the exact same team, but in reality you guys didn't really. You know, Diva was back, Taylor's back, Jenna's gone.
Right.
It really was kind of a new team almost. Talk a little bit about that.
I think it was huge just coming into this at the beginning of the season, during our preseason conditioning and everything, just getting used to each other. Because as you said, Diva missed all of last year, Taylor missed all of the tournament run from last year. And as anyone who watched the game saw, those were two of our biggest contributors on the court. And just kind of getting used to each other, getting used to who you were playing with on the court, that played a big role. And as well as getting along. I mean, as a lot of people know, and you get 13 girls together who spend countless hours together for 6 months, you can get a little catty sometimes. But I think just holding strong and having a purpose that we set at the very beginning of the season and staying focused towards that goal helped us stay together.
And Gretchen, I think the other thing was we did a lot of team building activities. We did a lot of communication about what each person's role was and what she brought to the team and what she needed to contribute to the team. And it's a difficult thing, as Kari said, to have 13 people get along, let alone have 13 people really buy into how important it is that each person does what she needs to do at the highest level every single day. And one of their team goals, we had 6 of them on a 3x5 card, and like Kari said, it wasn't taken lightly, and one of them was to be a great teammate, and one of them was to have great practices. And when you have 90 practices and 38 games, you know how important those practices are. And every single person understood her role and contributed to the highest level to fulfill that role. And when that happens, then you can have a team really come together and bond like we did and accomplish great things.
Let's talk a little bit about the tournament run. The regional, it seems like you guys sort of sailed right to that thing again. You know, there we were back again, and in our own cage gymnasium, watching you guys in the regional. But that game was a tough one. Talk a little bit about how that went.
You want to start, Coach?
Oh boy, you played it.
I mean,
for it.
It was a very hard-fought game, as you said. Wayne State was hot. They were playing their best basketball that they had played all season. They had a very strong roster. Everyone was back from injuries, and they gave us everything they had. They went on a run. I remember looking up at the clock, being down by 8 in the second half, and I don't think that had ever happened to us, but I think it was a great test for our team, and just everyone stayed calm, and the things that we said to each other on the court, the things that the coaches said to us, really just helped us get through that game. And I think that game helped us so much in the Elite Eight, because against Gannon, we were down in the first half and at halftime, and no one ever lost their cool. We stayed focused and played together as a team.
What's amazing is the maturity and, as Kari mentioned, the calmness that this team possessed. And that, I say this team because they took care of that on the court. And they huddle a lot, they talk to each other a lot. We give them time and when we call a timeout, and they're on the bench and they're communicating with each other. And so by the time I get to the timeout and I'm looking at them, they pretty much have it all figured out. And I just look in their eyes and I know, they know what they need to do. We're all on the same page. And when we responded at that 11-minute mark down by 8 with a run of our own, it's something that happened all year long. We had runs on people and people did not know how to react to the runs. And so when we were able to make that run, and of course the 3,000 fans that were cheering and screaming back and forth AU or defense were tremendously important to us, but it shook them. And as we looked at that game, it was like they all of a sudden we're like, whoa, this is Ashland, and what do we do now? And I so appreciate, as we looked over our whole season, just the maturity and calmness that this team possessed, and the togetherness that they had, and confidence in each other.
Did that win, given that it was a hard-fought one and not sort of an easy win, do you think that really helped, I guess, mentally prepared you to come into San Antonio tougher, I guess?
I absolutely think that game helped us. Just the physical and speed that Wayne State played. We don't usually play teams like that, so having played a team like that, getting ready to go down to San Antonio helped us mentally prepare for an even higher level of play. And I think that whenever we went down to San Antonio, having had that experience of having to come back and playing against a team who might be a little bit bigger, faster, stronger than us, but being able to still pull out the win, I think that helped us mentally, physically, everything that we needed to do to be able to be prepared to go to San Antonio.
Yeah, the similarities, when you mentioned last year, and we lost in that overtime game in the national championship game, and every one of these players came back and said that she was going to commit to being better. And it's just an amazing thing, and what they accomplished over the summer, as Kari mentioned, shooting 30,000 shots, which put us, ranked all year and tops in field goal percentage. And Kari said, I need to go home and get stronger, and Alyssa, I need to go home and be more of an offensive threat. So all those things that they committed to doing came into play in that Wayne State game, and it was kind of ironic because it was the regional final game. It wasn't at the Elite Eight. And their response to it was, hey, remember, we worked hard to get to this point. We've taken care of all those things. Now we need to put it on the floor and really prove it and show it. And they did.
Well, it was certainly a fun game to watch. The regional, and actually the entire tournament was also really enjoyable to watch as well. And coming up next on Ashland Alive, we will talk to Kari and Coach about that fabulous run to the championship in San Antonio. So stay with us.
One thing that stands out about the Collegian, I think, is I think we're one of the best weekly college newspapers in the state of Ohio, and that's been borne out by some awards we've won from the Ohio Society of Professional Journalists. We've gotten first place and second place as the best non-daily college newspaper, which we're extremely proud of, and our reporters have won awards in that same competition with SPJ.
Welcome back to this special edition of Ashland Alive. I am your host, Gretchen Dworznik, and thank you for joining us again. On this special edition, we're talking to head coach Sue Ramsey and Kari Daugherty from the Ashland University basketball team, women's basketball team, the championship team, of course, who won this fabulous trophy that you are looking at right now in San Antonio just a few weeks ago. And what a beautiful trophy it is.
It is
I imagine
nice,
you've been
isn't
sort of carrying it around everywhere you go.
It's heavy. It's not too mobile, but it does stand for a lot of hard work and a lot of commitment.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the road in San Antonio, those 3 games that you played, and I mentioned before we went to break, they were just really fun to watch. Just some really great basketball, and really great to see the team, really working together to, go up against some pretty tough opponents. Talk about the game against Gannon, the Elite Eight game. You were down in that game, like you were against Wayne State. How did you get through that? What did you draw on, from your experience to make that end in a win?
Go ahead.
All right. I just think that in the Gannon game, everyone stepped up when they needed to. I remember I was not shooting very well that game, but Diva and Taylor hit some big shot after big shot after big shot to just kind of close the gap. And that's what we did. It was not a race to try to catch back up with them because they had a very significant lead on us in the first half. It was a marathon. We just kept telling each other in the huddle, get a score and then get one stop. Get a score and get one stop. And it might sound simple, but that's what we had to do, and that's what we stayed focused on, is just getting one stop and then getting a good shot down at the other end. And as I said before, the big shots that Taylor and Diva hit to just get us momentum was huge, because not only did the bench really get excited and give us energy to keep playing, but everyone just kind of took a deep breath and calmed down. We're like, we are basketball players, we know how to play this game, and I thought the coaches did a fantastic job of keeping us calm, because, I mean, we're a bunch of 19 to 22-year-old girls. very high pressure situation, and our coaches did a wonderful job about just maintaining a calmness on the bench whenever timeouts came and just telling us what we needed to do, and I think it made a big difference.
And this is the perfect time to say our assistant coaches did a phenomenal job of preparing us, and that's their responsibility, and doing the scouts and having the film ready to go. So, they had a little bit of time to prepare for Gannon and get all that film ready, but once you get there, you don't know who the next opponent's going to be, and you play day to day and then have 1 day break and then play your championship. So Robin Freilich, our associate head coach, and Jen Bushby did a phenomenal job of having us ready and having the game plans in place. We had a little bit longer timeouts in the second and third game, which Kari loved, and got a little bit more rest, and so we had time that the team could just sit and kind of get composure, and we did feel a sense of calmness, as Kari mentioned, and I think going back to the regionals when we beat Wayne State and that ended, I think the year before when we won it, there was great jubilation, and this year Coach Bushby had the jubilation, Coach Freilich and I looked at each other and it was more relief. And I think that's part of the journey of the pressure of getting back to the Elite Eight. We were happy, of course, but it's like, okay, now we're there, and then we knew what we can take care of when we got to the Elite Eight. Gannon, opponent we had seen before, opponent very familiar, good friend is the coach there of mine, and we played each other when they were in the GLIAC. So it was a good rivalry, even though we don't see him often. But for the two of us as coaches, really. He had his team ready to play and focus, but again, that confidence and calmness that we had, relying upon each other. And as Kari mentioned, it again was a total team effort. Talking about people hitting big shots, and that was tremendous for us, but then getting the defensive stops. And I think in that run we started at the beginning of the second half, I think they actually shot some air balls, and that was just the intensity of our defense picked up and got us the victory.
Did it help having been there before? The awe is sort of off of it, the shine is sort of off of it. Were you able, you think, to focus a little bit better?
There's no doubt about it. I think that we were much more focused this year than compared to last year, just because, as you said, there's an awe factor the first time you make it. You get so entranced in being in San Antonio, being in the Elite Eight, being able to go do all of these fun things when you're down there. And that wasn't so much of an exciting awe factor this year. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was great to be in San Antonio. It was a blast. But I think all of the players, having almost every single one been down there last year, were very focused on, we wanted to win a national championship. That's why we went down there. We weren't there to go on boat rides and be tourists. So I think that played a huge part in just staying focused towards finishing our last goal.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I heard a lot of coaches over the years talk about, well, make sure you have fun. It's a once in a lifetime experience, and for us it was, very fortunate, same place 2 years in a row, a twice in a lifetime experience, and I wouldn't say we didn't have fun, but we were on a business trip, and it was the unfinished business that we wanted to take care of, and I just looked at him, and every time we saw each other in the morning, and it was just a sense of, okay, let's get going. When's the game? Let's play. Let's do this. And that focus was tremendous.
In the Final Four, you played Western Washington, and I think, at least from a spectator standpoint, it seemed like that game was a bit easier. You sort of led the whole time, and it was really. It looked like you were just really overpowering them the whole time. Did it seem easier from a player standpoint, or did it look harder than I think?
Honestly, I think that the course of the whole game, Western Washington was a little harder, only because for me, their post players were so strong.
Yes.
We had to, every single possession, be ready to get a defensive stop because they were going to pound it inside. And in terms of the defensive aspect, Western Washington had so many different threats that I felt like the entire team had to be on top of their game every single possession. Not saying that Gannon isn't a good team, because they wouldn't have made it to the Elite Eight if they weren't a good team. But I just think that from the starting tip to the ending buzzer, that the Western Washington game, although it might have looked a little bit easier, I think everyone just played a little bit harder, a little bit smarter, and a little bit better that game, and it made the difference.
Yeah, it oftentimes, Kari's right, it's hard to see just how hard it is to play the defense or how effective the defense is. And this is my favorite stat I share with people coming back. And I said, this is really why we won a national title. I mean, there's a lot of things that have to come into play on the offensive end, defensive end, taking care of the ball. But when we look at Gannon's 2 post players, they were 2 of their top scorers. Western Washington's post players were their top 2 scorers. And then you get to Dowling, and the 6'3" transfer from Baylor was their leading scorer. And all 5 of those ladies' statistics added together as a group, they shot 26% for the tournament. And for our defense, and it was Kari, it was Diva, it was the entire team buying into what we needed to do defensively to hold that quality group of young ladies to 26% shooting as post players was tremendous. And that statistic alone is just an amazing thing. And then our post players added together shot 46%. So big difference right there. But I'll go to one of my favorite parts of the Western Washington game was, and we talk about people being ready to contribute, and the role that Ashleigh Dorner has played on our team in 5 years has just been, as we call her, our heart and soul of our team. And she's been through injuries. She just actually had a second surgery when we got back on her knee. She's gone from a starting role last year to coming off the bench and being a spark for us this year to being starter again when Kari was out. And Ashleigh's just always ready to give what she needs to give. We're up 4 points in the second half. Ashleigh comes in and in a period of 6 minutes, she scores 6 points, grabs 3 rebounds, and we extend that lead to 10 points. And when they finally called a timeout, we actually had to apologize to the officials because our bench was so excited for what Ashleigh did that they rushed the floor and almost knocked an official down in doing so. But the pure joy and exuberance that you saw from every single person on our team for another person. And I had grown men coming up to me afterwards in tears saying, you don't see that anymore in sports. You don't see that selflessness. You don't see that true joy and happiness for a teammate that we saw it magnified in what Ashleigh did during that time frame and how her teammates reacted. And it's a memory that I'll have forever.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about the final. You mentioned the Division I transfer, and again, from a spectator standpoint, seeing that very, very tall person on the other team, I was like, oh, please, come on, ladies, let's do it. So was that a little daunting to see, a team that was obviously playing really well, had someone with Division I experience, not that you don't have that as well, but, did that make, them a more formidable opponent, or did you, really think you had them, down and were going to beat them?
Well, I'll tell you, and I'll let Kari react to that one. Again, our assistant coaches came up with a game plan, and we had a relatively short practice on Thursday. And when we introduced the game plan to them, I think our players looked at us like we all had 4 heads. And I was like, really? This is what we want to do? And it was. And it was a great game plan in that players set a lot of ball screens, and I won't go into a lot of details, but it required great communication on the floor. It required a principle of our program, which is trust. And Kari said it to Taylor. She said, Taylor, when I say switch, trust me. And that's our program put into play on the court. And it relied on everyone doing what she needed to do and for the defensive scheme. And it totally took her out of the game and really flustered her, I would say. And they couldn't get her the ball where they wanted to. And when she did get it, again, Kari's defense is such that a player, she knows what the player's going to do before the player knows what she's going to do, which is really unusual. And those instincts are just, God-given, because that's just Kari and how she plays the defense. So it was a team defense and a team game plan that the coach came up with, but the execution of the players was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. And I would have to agree with Coach, just the game plan that the assistant coaches put together. Like she said, we were a little hesitant at first, but
trust.
That's right. As soon as we really bought into what they were saying, we were all for it. Yeah. And having had the opportunity to watch Dowling play in the semifinal game they played before, so we came early and watched them, I think that really just helped ease our mind. There's no doubt about it that her length and everything was a little daunting. Trying to score around the basket with those arms, defending you is not an easy thing to do, but I think that all of the players just really kept building each other up the day before and the day of the game, just saying, you know what, give a good ball fake, get her out of the paint so you can attack her. And when you're inside, just get her off the block. She was not necessarily the strongest player, and we had played against some very strong post players. I mean, Wayne State had one of the hardest players that I've ever had to defend. So just being able to work as a team, get her off the block, buy into what the coaches were telling us to do. And it might have been a little bit daunting, but we knew that we could do it.
And we did it, and the nice thing was about that game, it's like we had the pedal to the metal from the start. And it was, I think we actually won that game in the first 5 minutes, and there was no let up whatsoever. And again, that speaks to the heart of our team and their focus and determination. And they're like, okay, we're in this game now, and we're not going to leave anything to chance. We were here last year, and we're going to make the outcome different.
That's right.
How did it feel to win? Sounds like kind of a lame question, but obviously from the video it felt pretty good. But it was such a hard-fought thing. You had been there a year before, and you're back again. You said we're going to do it. You did it. What was it like when you realized, hey, we just won this thing?
It was honestly a little bit overwhelming, just because all the hours and hours and hours that we've put into this program. I mean, I can't even say half the hours that Coach Ramsey has put in, but just over the summer, everything that we did to prepare, the hours in the season, the practices, every line drill that we've ever run, it was kind of like it was all worth it. When I came off the court, I went to give our trainer, Nikki, a hug, and I started sobbing after I hugged her because not but a few weeks before, I was in the pool doing rehab because I had a messed up knee, essentially. And just knowing that everything that we put in and all the struggles that we had been through, it was all worth it. I mean, that's what every college basketball player wants to do, is win a national championship. And to be able to say that we actually did that was, as I said before, overwhelming, but incredibly joyous. I mean, it was a great experience.
Lots of emotions, just from what Kari said, just thankful that God has assembled this team and that we wanted to play for His glory, and knowing that He was glorified through what we did, through these young ladies, and just what a testimony they are to everything that they do, to their hard work, not only on the floor but in the classroom, and that they do everything the right way. We wanted to, I had a vision of how it would end, and I allowed myself to think that the night before as I wasn't sleeping much, and how I wanted to make sure that it was a class act. And we were on the other end of it last year, and I know how that felt, and so I wanted our kids to be able to celebrate quickly and then acknowledge Dowling and for all that they did, and what a formidable opponent that they were. And then I wanted to make sure that, and the hats came out, and T-shirts came out, the trophy came out and all that, but at one point we gathered as a team on the floor one more time to pray together and give God the glory and the credit for what we did. And hugging all the seniors coming off the floor, it was just joy for them, but also some sadness, and just that knowing that I would not be able to coach them again in that same setting, but how blessed we were to have that time together.
Well, the entire season, not just the championship run, but the entire season really energized the community and really got all of Ashland behind you. So coming up next, we will talk about the community and all of the support they have given this team.
What makes our journalism and digital media department unique from maybe some of the other colleges and universities in Ohio is that we offer the opportunity for students to get involved. We don't ask them to go off and take their general classes and come back in 2 years. We ask them to get involved from the very first day.
Welcome back to this special edition of Ashland Alive. I am your host, Gretchen Dworznik, and if you're just joining us, we've been talking with Coach Sue Ramsey and Kari Daugherty about their amazing championship run in San Antonio just a few weeks ago. So thank you again for taking time out of your schedule to come and talk with us.
Thank you for having us.
As I mentioned before the break, you really energized the community. There was always thousands of people coming out to watch you guys play. What was it like coming home to that welcome in in the circle in front of the gym?
It was incredible. After a 14-hour travel day, it was
on about 2 hours sleep.
Yeah. but it was overwhelming to see the fan support that was there to welcome us back, because we couldn't have gotten to San Antonio without the fan support that we had from the community. I mean, Kate's was alive when we were playing in the regionals, and that gets to teams. How couldn't it? The AU cheer was probably still burned into the brains of the players who had to play against us here at Kate's, but just to have them there to welcome us off the bus after a national championship game was very special.
Yeah, and I think we got them fired up last year, and then they said, "Oh, we can't wait," and so we were like, oh, "Okay, hopefully you'll remember us." And it wasn't like people jumped on the bandwagon; they were already on the bandwagon. And so our home attendance this year was just phenomenal. And then obviously it peaked as we got into the tournament run. And Gretchen, the coolest thing is I've been in this community for 18 years, and just love everything that Ashland stands for, and about the small businesses and just the someplace special on the water tower and the friendly people and everything. And I teased the other day, we spoke at the Chamber of Commerce, and I said it takes me 3 hours to get through Walmart now, but I'm not complaining, and that's a great thing to have. But I think the closeness that they feel to our young ladies, because they do respect how they play the game and how they care about each other, and those are the things. And I think our team, they feel like they can identify with our team, and basically just hardworking young ladies that go out and give everything they've got, and that reflects to the Ashland community. And so it brings us great joy to be able to give back to them in any way we can. We've been with the United Way and Team Hope. It started off last year, and a whole year of that, and just really thankful to be associated with the wonderful organizations and the wonderful people in Ashland.
Well, it's certainly been a really fun 2 years to watch, and I'm sure the community would like to know what's in store for next year. Obviously, you're losing some key players in Kari and Diva and some of the others. Where do you go from here, I guess?
Yeah. Well, I will tell you this, in my 18 years here, it has been a magical run, and not that we haven't had great teams in the past, but to take it to this level and to the national championship level, and as we talked earlier, it's hard to do that. I know for sure that the young ladies that are coming back in our program have something to prove, and I know that they acknowledge the seniors graduating and all they contributed, but they also know that they were brought to Ashland as an Ashland women's basketball player with all the expectations and the things that our program stands for, and they're going to do everything they can to fulfill that. So I think you're going to, community, again, come support us. You're going to see a lot of new faces. There'll be some growth in young ones getting to mature and getting used to each other. But the same principles will be in place. There'll be commitment, there'll be integrity and trust. It'll be a team that cares about each other, shares the basketball, and plays the game the right way.
And Kari, what's next for you? You're graduating, so
Yes.
I'm sure everybody would like to know where you are headed next.
Lots of big plans. I am getting married in July, so that is step number one, which I'm very excited about.
So you're playing basketball and planning a wedding? So, I mean,
Yes.
She does it all.
So actually, after my wedding, my husband and I will be traveling overseas. I am looking to continue to play basketball. Right now, two of the main places that I'm looking at is Italy and possibly China. So depending on where my agent kind of steers me and where Coach Ramsey's wisdom guides me as well, that's where my husband and I will spend our first almost year together in Europe. So I'm really excited for the opportunity just to get to see the world and do something that I love, play basketball.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that you'll continue playing because
Yes.
it's obviously the big part of your life. So it's nice to hear you'll be continuing to play.
Yeah.
And will you be going to see Kari play at all?
Oh, if I'm invited, I guess I can make a little trip over there, and we need to maybe have more fundraise money at our annual golf outing at Mohican Hills, and which we have in September. That's my plug for the golf outing.
Yeah,
Mohican
exactly.
Hills, one of the best courses in the state of Ohio. But Brad Pickens is a wonderful man, and just so thankful that how God planned it all out for Kari to be here, and then to meet Brad, and they're just going to be a wonderful couple, and I know that their heart's going to be about not only playing basketball, but more importantly about the people that they meet and they can encounter over there, and just share God's love with, and that's a beautiful thing. And yeah, I'd love to go see her play.
Well, Coach and Kari, thank you so much for joining us again. It's been a pleasure to just sort of talk about this magical season and really hear from your perspective, how the whole thing went. So we really appreciate it.
Thanks again for having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us for this special edition of Ashland Alive, and we hope you'll come out again next year to see the Ashland University women's basketball team. If you'd like to be a guest on our show, you can give us a call here at the Department of Journalism and Digital Media at 419-289-5139, or you can email us at jdm@ashland.edu. Have a great day.
Ashland University Eagles are your 2013 Women's Basketball Division II National Champions here in San Antonio.